before I would have just been like, oh, they've put like, I'm a Christian in their dating profile, so that means they're Christian. Yeah, I'm good with that.
She's strong, she's funny, she can take it.
Yeah.
I can be rude to her.
Yeah.
And it's really put me off Christian dating. This is Salt's YouTube. I'm Lauren Windle and I'm joined by the lovely Cheyenne. So we're going to talk about what Christian dating actually is. Because this whole channel is about being single in a Christian, God-filled way and dating in a Christian, God-filled way. But like, I don't think at any point we've actually defined what we mean. You use YouTube a lot to like figure stuff out or hear other people's perceptions of things and their ideas and stuff. And when it came to Christian dating, you hit YouTube, didn't you?
Yeah. I think it's good to start with that I am new to Christian dating and I didn't have an example growing up of what Christian dating looked like.
Yeah.
And I came to a point in my faith where I was like, do you know what? I felt convicted that I wanted to do it right, you know, like call it the Holy Spirit. I felt like God saying, the reason why these old relationships haven't worked out is because that's not how I want it to be done. But then I was like, okay, then what? Like, how do you want it to be done then?
That's the thing. The Bible's like an amazing guidebook for how to direct your decision making, how to plug into God. But it's not like, here's every scenario you may come across and what Jesus would do in it. Yeah. You know, it's like, it's a tool for building the relationship that would equip you to do any situation well, even though you haven't quite seen it, you know. And they didn't date in the Bible. They were like told like, here's your wife, you know, let's give a load of jewelry to them in exchange for this woman. And here she is, and maybe you'll have a second or a third. You hit YouTube. What kind of stuff did you see?
One of the great kind of series that I came across was Mike Todd's relationship goals.
Yeah.
I literally watched every single one in the series, and I have it on my podcast, and sometimes I even like refer back to it, and like and that's over a period of 2 years.
I'm not usually a fan of someone who is married telling single people how to do things, because I think it can come across a little bit smug. Mike Todd's just different, isn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't.
He feels
it's not
relatable,
condescending in that way. And actually, he speaks about enjoying the single life and the blessing of the single life.
He's not pushing people into marriage.
No.
He's really well rounded. I really like him.
And I like the steps and the steps that he goes through, and the first one is like, you know, before you meet the person, God will provide you with like a place, purpose before the person. And I found that really helpful, because when I first started researching what is Christian dating, I never thought of it like that. I thought all of that would come once I found the person. I thought like, when I meet the person, then I'll have the place, and that's like my purpose is in that. And actually, I've learned to be settled in the place that I'm at and the purpose that I'm in, and it just brings a whole new meaning. So that was very helpful in terms of directing to what is Christian dating. And then the second one, he speaks about like actually in the dating phase, and exactly kind of what we were saying before about if you know someone's like, oh, I'm not sure about what I want, or I'm just like casually dating, well then, you know, that ain't for you. Like,
don't stick around expecting them to change their mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Know what you're working towards.
Yeah.
And believe them when they say that's not them. Yes, you know, I totally agree,
And then also what I found helpful, what I got from that series as well, was, you know, this whole thing about dating someone that's a Christian. Obviously, you know, dating someone that's a Christian for me is very important, but not just like a tick box that they put on their profile, but what does that actually look like what's the fruits of that? And that takes time to get to know someone. But in terms of like Christian dating, before I would have just been like, oh, as naive as it might sound, oh, they've put like, I'm a Christian in their dating profile, so that means they're Christian. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good. But actually, you know, are they a part of a church?
Do they have that personal relationship with Jesus? Like, are they accountable to God? Like,
exactly. And also not like being realistic but also not settling. Like there's there's a balance between that.
If you're loving this conversation, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Since the first video we've done, which was about ghosting, and I recorded when I got ghosted, this will probably be the most vulnerable thing I've said since that. I find that my expectations of Christian men is often really high because I think I've met them on this Christian dating app or I've met them through church or whatever, and at times they can really fall short. And we had a female guest on this show a while back who off camera said to me, I'm matching with Christians who are very surprised I don't want to sleep with them. And I don't feel comfortable with that. And I assumed that every guy I matched with would be at least working towards no sex until we're married, because that's a value that's really important to me, and it's something that I've heard spoken about in church, and I assumed that would be more in line with most people. What she was finding was 90% of people were surprised that she was old-fashioned in that she wanted to put that boundary in place, and she felt really uncomfortable. I think going into dates assuming that somebody has the same values as you is a dangerous game just because they're Christian.
Absolutely.
And actually, you know, what I've found is that because people know that I have a complicated kind of backstory, like I was an addict and I'm in recovery, which I bring up every now and again. People know that I haven't had this sort of squeaky clean life. People speak to me with a level of disrespect and they assume she's strong, she's funny, she can take it. I can be rude to her. And it's really put me off Christian dating.
It's sad to hear. Just not even just from Christians, but just as humans, that you would be treated that way, and unfortunately there are people like that, and I think one of the key things that you said about the expectations that we have, because someone's a Christian, we expect them to act in a certain way, but actually, like, that's our expectation, not theirs. Like, we can't necessarily lay it on to them. And I don't know, I think I am a psychologist in training, so I think this is kind of like my psychology start coming out.
You are just
as
a
well.
spectacular woman.
I think this is kind of like, I'm listening to it also from that perspective. You know, I think it's always good to just look at, what are we attracting, and to give ourselves power. I tend to approach things like, okay, if I've attracted this amount of the same personalities and guys, what is it that I'm putting off, and what do I need to grow in me that will change that, you know, and I don't necessarily attract that. And there will be a transitioning process, you know, so you might do the work in you to see what is it that's having me attract that type of guy, and still attract that guy for a while, but then you'll start to grow to then you'll start to see different guys that you're attracting. But I think it's, you know, what I've definitely done the work on is looking at my history of the guys that I have dated, non-Christian or Christians, and looked at the pattern, and then looked at what do I need to grow in me that attracted that type of guy.
The only thing I would add to it is that whilst, working through making sure that you're identifying sort of toxic thoughts and traits which are leading to getting into those scenarios is really important. The fact that you're getting into them doesn't excuse their behaviour.
No.
You know, like that a person should be a person who treats everyone well and respectfully, regardless of how they invite themselves to be treated. Just to be really clear, if someone's treating you badly, they are in the wrong. But
absolutely.
It may be that there's something in your self-esteem that is leading you to give more time to people who treat you badly than you should be. I feel like actually there's two answers to what is Christian dating. One is, how does Christian dating genuinely look? How does it play out? And actually the answer to that is in a very broken, flawed way, much like mainstream dating. You know, people making mistakes, people not treating people as they should, some people doing everything wonderfully, you know, and everything in between, you know, and that's actually what Christian dating is. What Christian dating could be and what God wants it to be. I think we're on a journey learning about that. I certainly am, through these conversations, through seeing people doing the dating, and I'm excited to continue to grow my understanding of how we do that in a way that is just so God-centered and amazing. But I think we all need to call ourselves in a bit, check, actually, am I super proud of, like, you know, the way that I interacted on the date after the date, when I communicated what outcome I wanted. How can I do that better? Pray about it, involve God in those stages, and then we're probably inching closer from what it is to what he'd like it to be.
Yeah.
I've loved this. Oh my goodness. I love to have a joke on here, and I love that we have had a joke, but I also love that we're talking about something that's really real and really important, and like I feel like we've really seen your heart. You've been watching Sal's YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We have got so much more where that came from.